Welcome Hawks fans to another feature podcast. We've taken it on the road this time. We're in the home of our 300 gamer, Luke Breust. Look, superstar of the game, this guy, superstar of our football club. He's a 3-time premiership player, 2-time All-Australian. He's our vice captain and number 22. Luke, welcome.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks for making the trip out to Melbourne and coming into our home. You always come and make yourself at home here, just like I do at your place. So I hope you've enjoyed the coffee and
brought a couple of cups just to make your house look beautiful as well.
Looks very good in the background.
So who have you got here?
So this is Miss Freya, our firstborn and little daughter. She's been amazing so far. She's fit into our life nicely and behaving and doing everything she should. So she's like loving you.
Is she looking forward to going through the banner, you think, this weekend?
The banner's going to be interesting this week. So we've got some ear muffs or we have some earbuds that maybe might drown out the noise. But hopefully she maybe gets a little snooze in before she runs through, and then she's nice and happy once 7:40 rolls around and we can run through the banner together.
How has she changed your footy lifestyle? Footy's a pretty tough sport and you like your sleep. How have you been going?
Well, as I said, she has been very good. The sleep side of it, obviously early days she was sort of every 4 hours and we're up overnight a few times, but recently she's been sleeping pretty much through the night for us, which has been amazing. Bit more of this, so a few more coffees. A few more afternoon naps when she goes down at 4:30 to get through the night. But as I said, overall she's been pretty good. If anything, she's probably relaxed me, I'd say. I was pretty pedantic with routine and preparation and sort of making sure I sort of ticked every box before games, whereas now I know that she's unpredictable and things mightn't go as planned. So I think that's probably the blessing, is that I'm a little bit more relaxed and know that I can still play well, even though I haven't had the exact preparation that
I've always had a go at you since I've known. We're opposites. I'm always really early because I stress about traffic and everything, and you're a guy that gets there on time.
Yeah.
And I'm one that moves and goes around.
Yeah.
I move and go around, you move and go around. I can sit on the couch though and chill out.
Yeah.
You can't. You're a busy human. How have you gone with that side of things?
Well, she's a busy little human as well, and she's on a little schedule, and I feel like that keeps me busy as well. So between feeding her, then she gets her little naps in, that gives me a chance to do the things and the little jobs that I need to do, and then before you know it, she needs her bottle again and is back, either on doing some tummy time or reading books or doing some of the things that she loves. So we are very different. As you said, we hardly cross paths even before games, which is pretty funny. Over 200-something games together, we hardly see each other until the team meeting. As I said, I think she's just relaxed me a little bit, and I know that things can be unpredictable now with her. So I haven't been late yet though, Jack. Always on time.
Late. You're never late.
Never late, just on time.
It stresses me out how on time you are. Probably one more question while Freya's here. Are we talking father-daughter? Hawthorn W? I just wanted to get that in because I got it back.
We'll see. Hopefully she'll be like me and
she
play.
Didn't like it.
She'll you might play FLW. No, she'll play as many sports as she can, and you're right. She'll play heaps of sports, and then we'll see, won't we?
All right, mate. 300 games in a semi-final. Talk me through it. How does it feel?
I don't think it's fully sunk in just yet. I feel like the 2 weeks leading into the first final will seem to go forever, and then this week being Friday to Friday, I feel like we're only sort of early in the week, and as I said, it sort of hasn't sunk in. It'll be a pretty overwhelming feeling, I think, as the week goes on. There's like so much that goes into it, like being in Adelaide sort of makes it a little bit more difficult. You've got family you're trying to sort out. There are heaps of people are road tripping. Flights are a nightmare. Like there's just tickets. It just gets a bit chaotic. But fortunately, we've pretty well got all that sorted. The club's been unreal in terms of getting all that out of my hair so I can then just concentrate on the game. So as I said, I think it'll be overwhelming. It's a big number did I ever think I was going to get here? Absolutely not. So it'll be a pretty special night on Friday night.
At the start of your career, what was something that you would have been happy with? Like 300 games is pretty crazy. I'm not too sure on the stat, but you'd be top 10 at Hawthorn. I think we tried to work that out the other day. I don't really know, but that's pretty incredible for a guy that it's not an easy position up forward, and sometimes it's a small forward.
I remember So I remember writing down, like clearly you just want to debut. Yeah. And then even that took me a little while. So I probably nearly played 50 odd games in the VFL before I got a debut. So then I do distinctly remember writing down 100 games. I love setting goals, and wrote 100 games down nearly as soon as I debuted and said, okay, that's a milestone that I'd love to get to. I knew that was like father-son and all these sort of things that like you get when you get to 100 games. But I don't know, I just felt like 100 games, like, oh, if you've played 100 games, you've had a pretty good career. So when you sort of then tick that off, it sort of just keeps going. And then even when I played 250 there a few years ago, I still didn't necessarily have it on the radar. I was like, oh, maybe I'll finish up in a couple of seasons and I won't get to 300. So it's, as I said, it's a big number.
Do you feel like you've played 300? Like I remember looking at the guys thinking 300, they're old. Like they must have been around for ages. Do you feel like you're actually at 300? Like is it a bit of a shock in a way?
Well, you always get into me. My body has been very kind to me.
Yeah, you're very lucky.
So
very
unlike you, who you've had to manage and
it's too much golf. That's my
surgeries and everything that you've had to go through. Like I've only had a couple of surgeries, and overall, I think this season was the longest I'd missed. So I missed 5 games earlier this year, and that was the longest period I've missed in sort of 14 AFL seasons.
How'd you go in rehab for all of those 5 weeks?
Oh, I hated it. You know what I'm like.
You're a pest to everyone.
I
needed you out of rehab as quick as possible.
Exactly. I used to always say didn't want to go to rehab because that'd make me swim. But now Anthony's taught me to swim, so now I'm actually not too bad in the pool.
As in you couldn't swim?
Or I could swim, but I could...
To enjoy swimming?
Yeah, to enjoy it. I couldn't swim more than 500 metres.
Right.
I remember the first session I did with Anthony, I did 800 metres and she did 2 kilometres.
Do you just get bored? Maybe, gets bored,
Maybe I need like music or something.
Yeah, that's probably what you need.
In my ears. So, but yeah, I was the same. I'd look at... Well, I remember when Crawl finished in 08 and my first year was 9, and I've still got a singlet. Yeah. He just hopped off the bike in 2008, and I've got a signature, like a sign to Luke, Go Hawks, Shane Crawford from 2008. And I remember back then, he's like, oh, he's 300 games. Like, this guy must be so old. And so now it's like 16 years on. And that's going to be me, some young guy.
Yeah.
Looking at me like that. So that's a bit weird.
From our last pod, a few things have changed. We'll delve into your career soon and we'll go there. But we actually just came off a loss to Port Adelaide.
Yep.
We were 3-7.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, who knows if you were thinking I was a chance to get 300 this year at that time.
Definitely not.
What's changed since?
I think especially early, we were so desperate for a win that it was nearly like the boys were trying too hard.
Yeah.
Like we were so desperate to just get a win, and we finally got one against North, and I was like, okay, that's good. Like let's keep working at it. And then a couple of weeks later, you get belted by Sydney again. And it's just like, oh, are we heading in the right direction? But I feel like since then, we've found our way of playing, found a couple of things that are really important to us, and sort of nearly just doubled down on it, and continued to sort of hone in on that each week. And I guess, things started to snowball a little bit. We got some momentum. Maybe guys got a bit more belief and felt comfortable at the level. And then all of a sudden, the wins started to pile up. And since what that's around 10. Yeah, I think since then we've probably only dropped.
It's opening around these days.
Oh,
I don't really get it.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
But since then we've probably only dropped 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
So as I said, I think the main things that have changed is we've found a couple of things in our game that we know are important to us, and we know that if we bring them each week, then we're going to be pretty tough to beat.
Can you just describe hockball for me?
Do you know where hop came from?
I have absolutely no idea about anything.
Either. So
I just thought it was like organised chaos. Is that a fair assumption?
But where did the hock come from? Like,
Oh, I don't actually understand.
maybe
It's
you
probably
should.
our media team.
I'd heard that it come from Chrome ball, which is like
that?
crows, so Adelaide Crows.
Crom.
So you should know about that. Crom.
I was only there briefly.
So Crom.
Yeah.
So I said Chrome. Crom. Crom. This is how good we're going. Maybe we need to invite Guinea and Wizard to explain it. So is that right? So it went Chrome, and then do we get Hawk or like HORK, and then they just drop the R out, and then it's Hawk.
Right.
So
you didn't explain it. Can you explain it for me?
Well, that's what I think it was, like the younger generation these days. Like,
But is it the way we play, or is it like just calling Hawk?
I think it's that.
Oh.
I don't know that.
Okay. Anyway, I just thought
Let's move on.
Get your opinion as a 33-year-old. See what you think. As a youngster growing up in Temora, how did you decide to choose AFL over rugby? Were you probably going to go down the rugby path, or how did that all unfold when you were a youngster?
I'll start there. So I loved rugby, and I still love rugby now. I'd watch as much rugby at home here as I would AFL. I trialled with North Queensland Cowboys. So I went up to Townsville when I was younger. Yeah. So I still got all the stuff. Actually, I think I handed out all my merchandise from up there. But trialled with them as a 16-year-old, and I think it was just like I was 70 kilos when I first got here, and I think it was the first time that I realised I was just way too small to make it in rugby league. Yeah. After that trial, had a week up there, and then we played a trial game against West Tigers, and yeah, I said to Mum after, I just felt out of my depth, out of my league. It was too much of a step up. Versus a few weeks later, I then get a phone call to play with the Sydney Swans reserves, and go down there and play really well. And it's like, okay, these guys are on AFL lists, and I'm a 16-year-old. I'm actually not. I didn't feel that far away. I was like, okay, there's a clearer path to being an AFL player through the draft than there is through the rugby league side of it. And it was pretty much, if you weren't signed as a 14 or 15-year-old in rugby league, then you probably weren't going to make it. So then, it was bringing those, and because I'd played it through my whole juniors, I was, like a fend off to me is second nature versus a fend off to you is...
I don't think I've nailed it.
And it's again, like people ask me at training, like, how do you like try and teach them? But as I said, I've been fending off people since I was probably 5 or 6 years of age. So it just becomes so natural to me. And fortunately, it's helped my AFL career. The sidestep again, so rugby and touch footy background. I'm not sure who I had more fun stepping, Sam Mitchell, which he tells a very funny story about, and he just made me keep
Which you're probably still doing now, which is
he made me go back to the front of the line 3 or 4 times, I reckon.
At a tackling session
session at Chatty, and he didn't lay a hand on me at any of the times. And
he wouldn't have got frustrated.
No, he was just getting more and more frustrated. He just kept yelling at me, just go back to go again. And then the other one was Taylor Dre. So Taylor Dre, I remember, the tackling coach at the time was like, Taylor, okay, so he's going to run to the centre of the mat and then step back to his left foot. And the funny story, and Sam has talked about this as well, is I then couldn't use my left foot back then. So I had this weapon in terms of being able to sidestep with my right foot, but then it takes you to your left, and all of a sudden I couldn't kick on my left foot. So when time and space is important in AFL footy, it was all good and well to get that time and space, but then you've actually got to be able to execute. So
you felt like it was an advantage for you to be able to invite pressure that a lot of us juniors probably weren't used to. Yeah,
exactly. So going towards a tackler for me was second nature in rugby, and then trying to beat. Yeah, you run away. Well, we both don't get a lot of hard balls, Jack. Still
waiting for my first.
Still waiting. That for me it was going towards pressure and actually trying to break a tackle, because that's how you get an outnumber in rugby.
Yeah.
So it probably was second nature to me once I got more into the AFL side of it, and especially in AFL, it's like if you can break tackles, and you can see it now with Hockball, Warple and Newcomb and these sort of guys that break tackles, and it's such an advantage to us to keep the ball moving.
As you can see, you've won 3 flags in the brown and gold.
Yeah.
But some people might know out there, but you've actually won a premiership for the Swans Reserves back in 2007. How did that come about?
Yeah, so luckily now Ed Barlow's back at the club with us as well. So we have our...
Yeah, he's our psych.
Yeah, he's our sports psych, and we have our annual premiership reunion for Swans Reserves now, which is nice. Jonathan Simpkin was in that team as well.
Fair,
it was a fair team. So Kieran Jack, Heath Grundy, to name a couple of Nick Smith.
Did you play all season with them?
I reckon I played about 6 regular season games and then a couple of finals.
Yeah.
And then played in the granny, kicked a couple, so played all right, which was good. And it was the helmet days, so
Don't jump the gun.
back when so I'd had a couple of concussions in rugby league, so I was wearing a helmet in rugby.
Is that your choice?
What, the helmet or
Did
concussions?
Did you want to wear the helmet?
Yeah, I reckon I did. I reckon it was so you had to wear one when you were younger in rugby, and then it was I had a few issues with a couple of concussions, so I felt comfortable and wanted to play in it. A lot of my mates who once I got drafted were like, the only reason you wore the helmet was so you got noticed more.
Smart.
Smart maybe that's how Graham Wright saw me.
Yeah.
But that back then that was so 2007. That's when I was still wearing the helmet.
So you had the helmet on.
Yeah.
But then when you take the helmet off, from what I remember seeing you, you still almost like had the helmet on because of how your head was shaped and your hair.
Yeah, well, all I can imagine now is there's going to be a 2009.
I hope there's a good overlay here. If you got the photos.
Profile.
Perfect timing.
First headshots at the footy club of 2009.
It was like this.
Yeah, it was a helmet.
I'm sure Ruffy would have been into you straight away.
You can't get into me about your haircuts.
I can because I'm running this.
No, you can't because your haircuts across the journey have been...
They haven't been great, but...
I've had the same haircut for...
You wore a helmet but had a helmet on underneath.
But I had a helmet, then I pretty much had the same haircut for 15 years. You've had tips, bald
Change
head,
it up.
Bald head.
You're a creature of habit.
Fade.
You're a creature of habit. Have you changed your goalkeeping routine at all?
Go back to the 13 grand final. You've had this flapping thing on top of it. It looked like a...
That was 14.
Looked like a wig.
That was 14.
It looked fake.
Bad hair. I got tackled that day and my hair changed. Anyway, enough about me. So how'd you get to Hawthorn? Rookie draft.
Rookie
What
draft.
number? Pick number?
Pick number 47.
And then you actually wore number?
47, yes.
Did you expect to be picked up? Had you spoken to Hawthorn? It's a pretty cool journey. You are now the most games played by a rookie drafted player.
Yeah, that crept up on me as well. I thought I had to play 300 games to get that record, but it was obviously a few less than that. I had 4 clubs that had reached out prior to the draft camp and everything, and then so broke my leg in 18s, and so I thought my chance of getting drafted, being a New South Wales kid, were gone. Luckily, the previous year playing Swans reserves, Graham Wright had watched those games, and then liked something. So then,
was he watching them for you, or?
Well, I'm not sure. I'd have to ask.
Just randomly going.
Yeah, I have to ask Righty that one whether he was watching someone else, and then saw me. He randomly saw my cousin, called my cousin to then get me to train. So post the draft, missed out on the national draft, calls my cousin, come down to training for a week. And I, to be honest, thought, so Jeff Gartlett trained that week as well. And if they were going to take a small forward, I was like, I think like Jeffy was way more ready to play AFL footy than I was at the time. I just remember watching or training alongside of him, and he was pretty silky, pretty smooth. He was light framed and everything like myself, but seemed more likely the type. So fortunately for me, Carlton took him with the first pick in the rookie draft, and then I slid to 47. So fair few picked before me in that draft, Jack. But very happy just to get the opportunity. The only job I've ever had before footy was running pamphlets. And I remember running pamphlets.
Luke Breust job.
Running pamphlets on the Tuesday, and then went home, jumped on the computer, and then my name was read out. And I was on a flight that afternoon
straight away.
So that was 11 o'clock, and then I was out of Wagga at 3:30.
To the big smoke. How'd you go in your first few weeks in the big smoke?
I hated it. I had a week before Christmas break.
Yep.
So I had the week down here.
Who'd you stay with?
I stayed with Jason Burt, and there was Brendan Bolton was there as well as a couple other footy boys. Jason had just moved up from Geelong. Yeah. So stayed there for the week, and just couldn't wrap my head around.
And so when you went back, it's always the interesting one with the draftee. You go back then to Temora.
Yeah.
And what were you thinking?
So we had schoolies booked. So I hadn't done schoolies without my whole crew at home. So we then went to the entrance up on Central Coast.
Oh, you still went on schoolies?
Yeah. Still went to schoolies over the Christmas break. went from schoolies down to then our family holiday spot to Kiama, where we go for pretty much most of January.
Creature habit.
Creature habit, yeah. And I remember leaving Kiama and I cried. I didn't want to go back.
Didn't want to come back?
No. Just being drafted and thought it was this amazing thing. And then I was going to miss out on a 3-week holiday in Kiama because I had to go back and train. And I just didn't want to go. It was all, as I said, like I didn't love the week in Melbourne. As I said, it was such a change for me. And even those first 12 to 18 months was pretty difficult. Just hated the city lifestyle and took ages to adjust. But fortunately, had a really good host family in the Burts.
Touch on your host family.
Yeah, in the Burt, Jason and Tracy, who are pretty much my parent, like Melbourne parents, really.
Yeah.
And a couple of boys, Hamish and Harrison, who are like brothers to me now. And if it wasn't for them, and then a few of the guys that I got drafted with, then I probably don't stay. I don't reckon.
And so who was your draft class? Because
you
played a fair bit of footy with.
Yeah, so Liam Shields and Ryan Shellmakers were the two main guys. A few other guys that were around for a little bit that were good mates, but they were the two main ones. And yeah, like Shuey was from Adelaide, so he had sort of similar difficulties in terms of being homesick and whatever. And then Liam was around the corner,
He
so
just stayed at
he
home
stayed
for
at
a couple
home.
of years.
Yeah.
Was still at school.
He had the easy
living
life.
The best life.
Yeah, going around. But those two were pretty important in terms of building the relationship with them and then, as I said, the host family as well to keep me down here. Because I remember, so it's end of my second year, I started to get some groin issues. And I was on 1-year contracts and it was just I still hadn't debuted. So started my third year, I got to being twos again.
Well, I want to talk about the twos too. So that's a long way from playing AFL twos at the time when you're in an AFL system and you're not even playing in the ones reserves team. Yeah. So where were you thinking you're at that stage?
Well, I'd started. So my first year, I had NAB Cup games. So I had a couple of NAB Cup games. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah, you played.
I played straight away. I was like, okay. Johnny Barker was a forwards coach. He must have liked something. I was like, okay, go in, play my first NAB Cup game, get donuts. So that was fun. And then played the next couple. Got a few touches, but like played okay. And then I just remember David Flood, who was a development coach at the time, and said, you're going to start in the twos, and you're going to play half back. And I was just like, okay, well, how have I gone from being, playing the preseason game to now playing twos, and I'm playing half back, a position I've never played before. So he made me play 5 games half back.
How'd you go at half back, Luke?
I was dour.
You were dour. You would have been so dour. You would not run off your opponent.
No, I would have racked them up, surely. No, I hope there's. Imagine if we had vision of that somehow.
I might find it actually, just to.
And then Dave made VFL debut after that, and played pretty much the next 2 full seasons in the VFL.
Were you getting close to a game at all, or?
Started my second year, I started really, really well. So I think my start of my second year, I was like 5 goals, 2-5, 2-5 or something like that. I had a couple of 3 or 4 bags. Yeah. And then it represented Victoria because I hadn't debuted yet. Yep. So then played for Victoria sort of mid-season over in WA and played pretty well in the state game as well. So I was like, I've got to be close. And it was always just your defensive pressure is not good enough. You're not good enough in a contest. You sort of still need to work on this. And so I was just constantly trying to build those 2 things in my game. Everything else sort of seemed like it was trending in the right direction. I'd got a lot better on my left. My right side was getting better. I was finishing, kicking goals, sort of doing everything else that I needed to. It was just try and get those.
So who was in your position at that time?
So guys like obviously Cyril was there, Cam Stokes, Ran Hooper, Carl Peterson, Michael Osborne. Most of the ones that rolled.
So who was someone you latched onto or watched closely?
Yeah, so Michael Osborne was probably the first one, and then obviously Cyril as well. I learned a lot from Cyril. I used to love watching his vision because you'd sort of dream about doing the things that he did.
Still watch his vision.
Exactly. But and then to be able to then watch his vision, but then also talk to him and go, okay, what are you thinking here, or what are you trying to do to your opponent, or whatever. And then Ozzy was the other one who was probably more off field in terms of just preparation, and he'd had a few things with his body where he was trying to get right. So I was like, okay, how do you prepare? How do you be an AFL player? Just didn't have any idea. So I was like, he was probably one that he lives around the corner from Ryan Schollmakers. I live with Shuey and Ozzy was around the corner, so we spent a fair bit of time together, and he was probably one that helped both of us understand what it took to be an AFL player and how to prepare.
Yeah. Round 8, 2011, v St Kilda was the debut.
Yep.
Talk us through it. Couple of snags, few touches.
2 snags. Started as a sub.
You're the sub.
Ironically.
Full circle.
Full circle, yeah, at the moment. So, yeah, Clark had called on the Thursday night. I'll never forget, I was walking up the stairs in Canbrook Road, just around the corner here, and he's like, "You're going to make your debut." And
were you surprised, or did you have a feeling?
I had a bit of a feeling. I was getting close, but again, I'd had groin issues, and I was back in twos. So this is the start of my 3rd year.
Yeah.
I'm back in twos, thinking that I'm so far.
In your 3rd year, you're playing twos, and we're talking right now because you're playing 300 games. Anyway, keep going.
So yeah, 3rd year, twos. So I had all these groin issues in the off season, so pretty much didn't kick a footy until February, and then I ended up debuting the next week, and we sort of secretly oh, we're on the beers the week before, and so now you're debuting. But just remember having heaps of people from home, families obviously down, against St Kilda, who I barracked for as a kid.
Yeah.
Which was sort of another element to the story as well.
Was there any players out there that you were?
Yeah, so Nick Dalcino. Well, I had Robert Harvey initially.
Yeah.
And then probably went to 12, Nick Rewalt, and then Dalcino.
Who was your first opponent on the day?
I think it was Stevie Baker.
Oh, that's intimidating.
Yeah, it was.
You were scared.
I was scared. Yeah. And as I said,
heavy 47 on the back
sub,
too?
yeah, 47 on the back.
Oh, yeah, you were sub. Yeah.
Subbed.
So when did you come on?
5-minute mark. And then I was sub. So Stephen Gillum unfortunately did his knee in front of the bench. Like literally right in front of the bench, straight down, assessed. Doctor came back up and was like, ACL confirmed. Well, not confirmed, but we suspect. So he's not taking any more. Yeah, you're on. So I think I was nearly on before the first rotation.
Wow.
In my debut. And I think looking back now, it helped me so much because I had no time to think.
Yeah,
no
you were
time
just been sitting there all
I was
day.
just sitting there and it's like next minute I'm on, I'd pick up a ground ball, tried to kick it to Bud in the pocket, I think, and it sort of like rolled out of bounds or whatever. And it was just like, it's just another game of footy.
Yeah.
So that really helped. And then, as you said, went on to
How many games as a sub that year?
First 5 were all sub.
You were known as the super sub, which you are known as the super sub again this year. But
so first 5 were all sub. So I reckon 3 of the 5 that I'd pretty much played full games.
Yeah.
So in the end, the guys were like, don't play sub because someone gets hurt, someone gets injured, and comes on. So I mean, like Aussie, I think unfortunately did a Hemi chance, maybe missed or something as well. So there was a couple of weeks in a row where I played full games, and then that's why we sort of kept staying in the sub game because I'd played debut full game, and then I'd come on, kick a few goals, and as I said, it was the best introduction to AFL footy that I could have ever asked for, and I think helped set up the rest of my career because I felt comfortable at the level, and it wasn't sort of baptism of fire and just thrown in and went no good, and then I was sort of in and out of the team or anything. It was just like, okay, you can just slowly build into this.
Yeah. Now we'll talk about 11, 12 and most of 13 before the grand final. 11 you kicked 30 goals, 12 45, so sort of I reckon once you got into the team in 2011 you felt pretty comfortable. You'd obviously been at the place for a while, a couple of years playing VFL, you were comfortable and you hit the ground running. What helped you feel comfortable? Was it just the amount of the confidence you got just playing each week, or was it starting as a sub and building your way into it, or the relationships you built with people?
I think a bit of everything, to be honest. So one, like getting backed in by your coaches. So obviously Clark had been the head coach, but I had multiple line coaches that were pretty influential on my career, senior players. So once you got into the side, like guys like Ruff and that sort of take you under your wing.
We always mention Ruff. Was he that good?
Oh, he was good.
He was the first one that always comes to mind. Anyway, sorry,
he was good. Going. He was very good.
He was good.
But he just made you feel comfortable, and he showed us the ropes in terms of the way we wanted to play, especially as a forward line. There was a lot of things that we didn't want to overcomplicate, but there was a couple of things that were like, okay, we must do these things to play really well. And then I still maintain just doing like a strong apprenticeship. So
Yeah.
the 2-2, we joke about the 2s, but it's like, okay, go back there, get some confidence, play some good footy. Nearly played 50 odd games in the VFL, so had a really strong apprenticeship there in terms of playing against bigger bodies and guys who are strong in a contest and can hold their own. And then maybe that's probably only the speed then you got to adjust to. And I always felt that my reaction to get goal side or my reaction to get front and centre and things like that was one of my one-woods. So it was like, if that's one of your one-woods, there's only going to be more space, or you need less space in AFL to actually get hit because you've got better players who are actually distributing the footy. So it's like, I can actually be better at AFL level than I am at VFL because it's not as contested. It can be a more open game, and these guys are even more skillful. So you only need a small break on your opponent, you can get hit. So I think it was a combination of all that that held me in good stead once I actually got into the team.
All right, talk us through the 2013 grand final and your favourite moment personally from that day, because I believe it's your favourite goal.
It's definitely my favourite goal. I'd had a pretty good day. I don't remember like a heap in terms of like possessions or other touches and things like that. But I think I remember sort of playing. I feel like I'd played my role most of the day, and like you and I both love to do. We love kicking goals, and I hadn't sort of got one that day. So to flush it from a boundary throw in the last quarter and kick truly was. I have to watch the replay to know what I actually did, because I don't know what I did in that 10 seconds. But I think I was just running.
You started running like this.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And then Ruffy grabbed you.
Ruff jumped on me. I think Bud jumped as well. So
was it the sealer? Is that sort of the?
All my mates call it the sealer.
Yeah.
But I personally don't want to say that.
I think you do.
But again, the adrenaline that went through my body that after that goal was pretty epic, and then to go on and win and get our first flag was amazing.
Is it your favourite grand final of 13? Obviously coming off a loss in 12, or?
Yeah, I reckon it is. Yeah.
Did you celebrate with the cup around the oval much?
I didn't. That's a loaded.
Are you an extrovert?
That's a loaded question, Jack.
Yeah, it just came to mind.
Well, you didn't either.
No, we got in trouble for it.
We did. We both got told to.
Why did we get told off?
Well, we also used to get told to celebrate more. You two are kicking a lot of
still
goals,
do.
And you need to celebrate.
We
more.
still do.
You need to bring some energy to this side.
What did Clarko say to you? Was it in our exit meetings going away?
Well, he pretty much said, I would love for you to grab hold of one of these cups and just like throw it in the air and just...
Or jump on the fence.
Or jump on the fence, or just do it, like just let
it was
all
like
the emotion...
shy or something.
Yeah, it was like let all the emotion and the hard work of like everything that goes into it. It's just like you finally like just give it everything. And so the following year we got a pretty cool photo.
We got another chance.
Yeah, that's it. We got another chance.
And you got a cool photo.
Yeah, with the New South Wales boys. So I think there was 6 New South Wales guys that were on the fence. And again, like if Clarko doesn't say that, you probably don't do it, because even the lap of honour is awkward.
Yeah.
And you eventually get used to it, but it's like, why didn't we embrace it more? Like just soak it in. And I think these days that's what I do appreciate. I remember last week when the anthem was on before the final, it was just like, okay, let's actually get your eyes up.
Yeah.
And really soak it all in, because, well, for us, it's like, it's going to end eventually. I know you want to play to your 40, but
we'll keep trying.
It's going to end eventually. So like, there's only so many of these moments left for us. So why not embrace it? Why not embrace the fans and get around them and actually try and soak it all in?
Yeah. 2014, is that your best year personally, you think? You've kicked the most goals, 57, finished up an All-Australian, first time that year.
Yeah, I think it probably was most consistent year. It obviously helps when you kick 29 straight. 29 straight,
and you equaled the Tony Lockett record.
Yeah.
Why didn't you kick 30 straight? What happened?
It's too far out.
And you still had a shot?
No, it wasn't that bad. It was like a 45-degree angle. I actually hit it right. You know, I've got a nice little fade normally, so started on the left-hand post and it should fade back for me, but that night it didn't, unfortunately. But to tie it was amazing, and I still maintain to this day that if the media had got onto it earlier, then I don't get there.
What you reckon the pressure, the build up?
Yeah, because they got
When
onto
did
it.
they? Yeah.
So they got onto it when I was 22 straight.
And when did you know about it?
22. Oh no, I reckon around the same time. I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't know it was before that.
Right.
And then I had 2 against North Melbourne where I would normally have had a left foot snap, and I tried to square both of them inside. So that's when I knew it was starting to get into my head. But I had a couple of tricky ones. There was one game in the wet, I think the following couple of weeks down in Tassie, where I kicked 3 that were all like makeable shots, but could have very easily missed.
Yeah. Did you have a shot every time you were within range, or did you think some shots were a bit hard and you passed them off just in case you missed? Or
No, they were the only ones against North that I passed off. Everything else was I either knew that I was going to kick it, or I had 4 out in the full as well.
Yeah.
But luckily they don't count them. So yeah, definitely 14 to like All Australian probably wasn't on my radar at all. Like again, it's probably similar to this milestone. It's like I didn't start playing and going, oh yeah, I want to be an All Australian. And even that year, I didn't really know. Did I know it was a thing? It was just like, it wasn't on my radar at all.
you're just trying to play good
I
footy.
was just like happy to play my role, keep kicking goals, and
it was such a team focus, I think.
Yeah.
For that period.
Yeah.
Like at Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Just trying to win premierships, finish top 4, and it was
100%.
selfless.
Yeah, it was. And
model.
and that's what the whole forward line was built on the back of that. I feel like maybe the whole team was. So, but definitely, I think that goes down as my best year.
You weren't just a forward pocket, half forward. You actually went on ball, centre bounce. How was that good to be able to get some freedom? Because it can be a graveyard up forward sometimes. And did that free your mind, free your game up to get a bit more of the ball and get up the field?
Yeah, for sure. That was a great role that we used to roll between sort of Rough, Piopolo, Rioli, myself. Yep. So there's 4 of us that would roll through there, and you sort of average 6 or 8 centre bounces a game and do a little bit of midfield time as well. And I had a great relationship. Someone like Mitch, it was just like if I was closer to a stoppage, Mitch would just yell at me like, "Pump, go," and he'd hold forward for a stoppage, and then we'd be able to flip over again in general play. So things like that were massive for my game, just to keep you in it. Like as you know, it can be a graveyard sometimes, and the ball can be going over your head on some days. So to be able to get up there, get a tackle, get an involvement, get a few possessions, and then once you do go back forward, you start to feel a bit better about yourself, and you're in the game again and can start to have an influence. So yeah, that was a huge role. The old star rotation, it was called. Star rotation.
Well, there was yourself, Rioli, and Piopolo.
Yeah.
Did you call yourself the 3 Musketeers or something like that?
Oh, it was like 3 Amigos. I reckon.
3 Amigos, that's what it was.
3 Amigos was Brendan Bolton's, I reckon, 1 year.
Because you had that where now we've got the 4 little
more
mosquito fleet or something they're calling themselves now.
I'm in that as well.
Well, I don't know if you are.
Why?
Are you in it?
What's the
oldest? Are they including you in it?
What's the oldest?
There must be an age limit.
What's the oldest mosquito?
I don't know.
Well, I'll be there.
Have you googled it?
No, but we can be a fleet together because there's 5 of us, so it's a fleet.
Yeah, well, I feel like you should be in it, but I don't know if they're including you, to be honest.
Well, the rest are closer in age, so maybe I'm just getting excluded. I'm getting bullied because of my age. Is that right?
Maybe. You've chatted a little bit about this week, but something that something that I know you hold pretty close to your chest is going to be a 1 club player.
Yep.
Talk to us about the potential moves to GWS or anything else along the career that tried to drag you away from Hawthorn, but what kept you here? And especially there's a few hard times throughout the last, 6 years or so where Hawthorn hasn't been going too well. And talk us through sort of your process of staying a 1 club player.
Yeah, so as you said, it was very high on my priority list for a long period of time. You want to remain committed to the club that sort of had faith in you to start with. I think that's probably the first and foremost. So as I said, 1-year contracts for 3 years, and then you finally get your opportunity. So you want to repay the faith there. Leon Cameron, was the GWS coach at the time, who was our forwards coach. So we've had some cracking forward. It was like if you were our Hawthorn forwards coach, you got a senior role the following year pretty much. Correct. There for a while.
That was about 4 years in a row, I think.
Yeah, so a few other guys who had big impacts on our career. So we had a great year with him, and so had a good relationship with him. I feel like that made it harder. I sort of wish I hadn't have actually chatted to him, because that sort of was like personable, and he like gives you the direction of the club and all that sort of stuff. So that probably complicated things even more. But ultimately, it came down to me and my family. Anthea at the time, Freya wasn't around, but we'd done this as well. So you're sitting in a renovated house here, so we'd put a lot of work into this as well. It's sort of like, do we want to rent this out and leave this? It's just like, this is what we wanted to do for about 5 years. So can we actually enjoy it instead of going to Sydney?
Say loyalty is a strong value.
Yeah,
of
for
yours?
sure. Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Growing up where we did and the way I was brought up was definitely right up there on at the top of the list. And then I guess I wanted to get back to playing finals with Hawthorn. I think that ultimately comes down to the final piece of the puzzle, as Maury would say. That was why I wanted to stay. I was like, okay, can I have an influence on this group again, and get us back to where we want to go? We've got a strong and proud history at Hawthorn, been so successful. You can see with these things behind us. So I was like, okay, let's stay here, not shy away from a challenge, and put in the hard yards to get back to playing finals.
Do you enjoy being one of the older guys at the footy club? Yeah,
I do now. I feel like there's a bit of a transition period there for a few years where I was okay. I still wanted to play good footy, and sort of like the individual side of it is still there. It's just like you still want to be kicking goals and doing all those things. But then I feel like I've been able to transition in the last 2 or 3 years across to more. Yes, I can still get my role done, but what influence am I having on all these other guys? And how can we fast track them to being better, quicker?
Yeah. So you're a Hawks Life member. You were All-Australian again in 2018.
Yep.
Actually, talk to us about that one before we get on to the next one, which I'm avoiding because you're better than me in the next one. But All-Australian in 2018, we had, as a team, in 2016, we had lost a lot of our star players, I think, at the end of 16. 17 was a quiet year. We missed finals.
Yeah, and then 18 we finished top 4, but sort of fly home. So we probably weren't top 4 that year, but we were a finals team.
Yeah,
but I think we won the last 6 to get there.
Talk to us about your individual year.
Yeah,
and why. I know the answer, but why is it a year that you're reasonably proud of?
Yeah, well, can you remember the conversation we had?
I can, but it's your podcast, so you have to talk about it.
Well, you and I had a great conversation. We probably sat down and just said, look, what do we actually want to achieve? We've a couple of years removed from the three-peat. I'd been an All-Australian in 2014. You'd been in the squad a few times. And it was like, okay, what do we want to be remembered as? And what do we want to be known as in terms of our career? It was like, okay, were we just really good players that had great players around us and won some premierships? Or can we actually prove to the footy world that we're able to play some really, really good footy without these stars that were around us? So I think from memory, you challenged me, I think it was, mainly. And then it was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, what does it look like? Like, if we don't win another premiership or get an All-Australian or anything for the rest of your career, it's like, are you always going to just be pinned back to that?
I guess it wasn't always be an All-Australian, but play at that level because we knew that the way we played helped the footy team.
100%. So, yeah, I think you're right. It was like, how can you be? And I remember my goal sheet in the next 3 years was always be a consistent A-grade performer. Yeah. And as you said, it wasn't necessarily about making the All-Australian team, but it was just like, can I be a consistent A-grade performer? And it was probably the best conversation that we'd had in terms of pushing each other and trying to get the best out of each other. I feel like we'd done that from the start of our relationship, but we'd never actually voiced it to each other and sat down and really had a chat about it. So another proud year is probably my second best year that year, and to do it alongside you and both be selected in the All-Australian squad team was pretty amazing. So it just unfortunate that we went out in straight sets.
Yeah, it wasn't a great final series, but we got there anyway.
Yeah.
Is it 5-time leading goal kicker of Hawthorn?
Yeah, well, how many you got?
Yeah, I've got 3. I just wanted to double check.
5-time, yeah.
5-time. You've I've mucked around with my routine a lot, but as I've touched on a couple of times here, he's a creature of habit. You've hardly changed your routine.
No.
How did you find your routine, and why have you stuck with it for so long?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I probably found it with Adam Uze and David Rath. I'd say were probably the two guys who had the biggest impact on me. So you'll see me spin the ball a few times.
Yeah.
That's just trying to get my hands relaxed and make sure that I'm sort of pretty comfortable with ball in hand. It's not sticky. It's not staying in the hand when I'm like ball dropping all that. And then you'll see me sort of lift my arms a couple of times, and that was an Uze trigger. So he said you don't want the ball sort of stuck underneath you. So I sort of like move my arms a couple of times just to get some sort of movement and free my arms. And then the rest is all on feel, really. I don't count steps. I don't do a mark on the ground like yourself. Or
you get too close to that. I'm like,
that's the only thing that's the only thing across my career. Clark, I used to hate it. You hate it. Yeah. You get nervous because I get too close to the man on the mark. It's probably the one thing in my whole routine where is the inconsistency of anything is the fact that I don't kick until I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
And if that means I'm then too close to the man on the mark, then I've got to kick it higher.
Yep.
So then that brings in some inaccuracy.
Was it always just shots at goal? Did you do anything different?
No, so the biggest thing, and I continually go back to this, even if I brought it out at the start of this year. I think I started the year 2 goals, 5 points or something. Well, we were all bad, but we blame Wizard for that one.
Yeah, it was Wizard's fault.
But even at the start of this year, so it's a wheelie bin. So I'll take the wheelie bin out to training, put it at the other end of the square, and just walk in from 5 or 6 steps. We used to call it 48 metres. So I can kick comfortably off 5 steps, 48 metres, and it was just trying to drop it into the wheelie bin. And it was a David Rath suggestion way back when. So that would have been probably 2010, 2011.
Yep.
Even before I debuted.
Yep.
And I just kept going to the well on it. It was just like anytime I had any trouble with my goal kicking, the wheelie bin would come back out. I'd make sure I got a nice spread that I was happy with, and then I'd go back to the goals.
Yeah.
And even now, I'd be able to tell you on some of my set shots this year, I'd be able to tell you in the vision the person I was aiming at, who's technically my wheelie bin.
Oh.
Like Carlton, this is like I always first 5 rows. So if you're sitting in the first 5 rows, just give me a big.
Luke's probably looking at you.
Yeah, I'm looking at you. But that's all. Yeah, just back to routine and.
Was it, for you, was it always routine? Like I remember through my period, I had this really accurate period.
Yeah.
And then I felt the weight of expectation of everyone. I'm standing at the top of my mark, and everyone's thinking, "Oh yeah, this is going through."
Yeah.
And probably in my mind, I'm like, everyone's expecting me to kick it.
Yeah.
Have you been pretty strong mentally through the period? Because you've been probably the most reliable goal kicker in the AFL for your career, really, over the last 16 years.
I think that's definitely my hardest shot as well. Are the ones where you walk back to the top of your mark and you've got everyone in the back of your mind going, he'll kick this.
Expected to kick it.
You're expected to kick it. He'll kick this. Just mark it in the book sort of thing. Until you acknowledge that and go, okay, yep, everyone expects me to kick it, but back to process, back to routine, and then execute. So yeah, it's my bad runs. I've had a couple of like bad misses in a couple of finals where like I'm really disappointed with. But again, I stuck to my routine and did everything in that moment that I could control. So it's just like, oh, it was just a miss. Is it pressure? Was it ball drop? Whatever. It's just like I did everything else in terms of my routine that I would normally do. So that just
is one of the ones that I always mention. I'm trying to sledge you and win a coffee off you.
Yeah, most of the time.
And then you mentioned the 2012 final to me. Yeah.
Well, I think that night, so it's the 2013 prelim. I think I kicked 1-3.
Yep.
Luckily, Shawnee saved us that night.
Shawnee was good that night.
So that was good. But yeah, I had 2 shots in the last quarter that were pretty average.
I want to talk about being a vice captain.
Yep.
How proud are you? Last year, I think, was the first year to be a vice captain.
Yep.
How proud of you to be a vice captain of the Hawthorn Footy Club?
Yeah, it's an amazing privilege and very honoured to do that role. Never, again, really thought about leadership positions. Actually, if anything, sort of shied away from it. I remember being captain a few times as a young kid, and like our team would always like lose and like be bad. So I was like,
were you not inspirational?
Yeah, I must have. I was like, oh, geez, I'm not a very good captain at all. So if anything, yeah, shied away from it. I always thought I had leadership tendencies in terms of just preparation and leading by example and just doing
Get your
the
job
right,
done.
getting your job done, just doing the right things. I always thought, but I was never the loudest or most vocal or demanding or anything like that. So yeah, probably didn't see myself as a natural born leader, I guess.
And how is it with a younger group? Obviously,
Yeah.
last year it was younger, and then this year even younger.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate to obviously observe so many great leaders at our footy club, and so being able to sort of pick apart their leadership and take little bits that I think that I can do and not go outside of my sort of authentic person or self. So that's been really good, and I think that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned is just like you can still be a great leader and still just be yourself and lead in your own way. So it's been, as I said, it's been a great honour to do it alongside Dylan as well. So him and I work so closely together. So to be vice captains together has been amazing, and it's been a pretty cool group to work with because there's not a lot of judgment. It's all about being yourself and expressing yourself in your own way. So I feel like it's not as daunting anymore as what potentially a leadership position used to be back in the day. So that's been really good, and I think Maury's helped me in that role in terms of he connects with the younger guys, and then we can sort of convene back or talk together and work out what it is that needs to be done or how things need to be addressed or whatever. So that's been awesome.
Pretty cool. Like he's probably his 100th game this week. It might get overlooked a little bit and overshadowed, but it's pretty cool to be doing it together. You've worked closely.
Yeah.
He's looked up to you in a way, being a small forward over a number of years. And
for sure. His story is pretty amazing and not too dissimilar to mine, to be honest. Like three 1-year contracts. He was a couple of he might have 2 years with the draft, but then was pretty much delisted and then back on a list. So to be playing alongside Dylan, 100 games and 300. We joked the other day it was going to be MB 400. 400. but it'll be awesome to run out alongside him and celebrate his 100th as well. His tape will be pretty special on the weekend as well.
Yeah. Talking about, I guess, this weekend, and how have you seen the progression of our young forward line this year? Have you enjoyed working with them? They're obviously different characters to me and you.
Yeah. But
have you enjoyed working with them and opening yourself up to the way they live their lives as well?
Yeah, I think you and I cover a good base in terms of the forward line. So you and I we're similar, but we also have different characteristics. So I feel like you've taken a few under your wing and I've taken a few under mine, and we've been able to sort of have a good cross-section of the forward line. It was always going to take time. Like you look at, there's probably 5 changes really into a forward line where connection and knowing what each other's doing. You talk about back in the day where it was like so selfless and we knew exactly what each other were going to do at any given point in time. So that takes months, years sometimes to build. So there's always going to be some teething issues, but the way the group's been able to come together and now starting to score really efficiently, getting marks inside 50. I feel like there's multiple avenues to goal now. So if you're in opposition and you're trying to scout us, and it just makes it so hard. I think there's 7 of us who kick 20 plus goals. So like, it's a pretty special group to be a part of again. And I certainly think we're building something special there.
So game 300 in the finals, semi-final over in Adelaide. How many tickets, how many family members are coming across?
So 26 ticket requests, which was pretty difficult. Luckily it is interstate. So the guys on the list who aren't playing still get their allocation. So I could
sneak a few of them.
Yep. So I owe a few Hawks boys a few coffees.
Talk about your family.
Yeah.
We haven't spoken about your family and how much support they've given you. They drive down a lot.
Yeah, they do. I don't know how they do it so often. Mum and dad probably get to 6, 8, 10 games a year, and it's 12 hours of driving each, so 6 hours each way, and you're pretty much doing that every second or third week. It's going to be 9 hours to Adelaide this weekend, so they're going to make the trip over. So yeah, they've been amazing, along with brother and sister who have been there from the start as well and supported me in everything that I've done.
Their kids love you as well.
So we've got all girls.
All girls.
Sister's got 3 girls. My brother has 3 girls, and now Freya as well. So 7 total, and then Anthony's sister has a girl on her side. So we need some boys somewhere. But as I said, they've been amazing. To have an older brother and sister, you were, slower, weaker, shorter. Like I just had everything against you as a kid. So I feel like they were probably the ones that made me the person who I am today and the player that I am today, because you had to continually scrap for everything on the farm. It was whether you're playing basketball, footy, whatever it was, I was always against someone who was better than me. So until I was probably 14 or 15, I didn't beat either of them in much at all. So that was probably why I'm like I am today, and love challenging you to anything, or Blake Hardwick, or whoever it is. And then mum and dad, just for the sacrifices they've made across the journey. You can't thank them enough.
And Anthea, she's been there from the start.
Yeah, Anthea's been there from the start as well. So childhood sweethearts. She'll hate me saying that probably, but
she was listening over in the back room.
But again, just so special to be able to share the milestone with her and Freya on the weekend. And I couldn't have done it. I wouldn't have played. There's no way I would have played 300 games without her and her support. She moved down to Melbourne. Shifted her life as well for me. So, again, I can't thank her enough, and I love her so much as well.
Who's going to cry first, do you reckon?
I think she might have a few tears.
Anthea?
Maybe, yeah. Oh, she's probably better than me, though. So
Mum or Dad?
Mum will definitely cry.
Yeah.
Definitely cry. Dad won't cry. Dad won't say too much. He'll just be like, he'll just give me a nod and shake of the hand probably as approval.
Might have touched on it. Does it blow your mind, game 300? Like, it blows my mind being like, I've actually got one of my close mates playing game 300. It's like, geez, we've been around a while. Been ups and downs, big journey. It's pretty special. It
does blow your mind a little bit. It's a lot of games, especially when you throw in like 50 odd VFL games. It's like, wow, no wonder.
You've been Michael Tucker.
It's like, no wonder my groins are sore. No wonder I have groin issues. Just the pure amount of footy that we've played. But pretty special milestone.
Well, hopefully we can go out there and get the chockies for you, and it can be a memorable night over in Adelaide.
Absolutely.
Well done, mate. It's a bloody good achievement. Proud of you.
Cheers.
There's a lot of people that are very proud, and hopefully we can do the night justice for you.
Let's get the win.